There was nothing in Al Capone's vault, but it wasn't Geraldo's fault. No!
Good morning, and welcome to Lopes on Movies. My name is Joey Lopes, and today I am joined by Connor.
Hey, Joey.
And back from a multi-week hiatus, today we feature the glorious return of Kyle.
Hey everyone, I missed you so much.
I gotta clap. I'm so glad Kyle's back.
Welcome back,
Crying
Kyle.
over here.
How was how was your journey to foreign lands or whatever you were doing?
I gotta say, being away from movies all this last month and a half has been truly great. Probably the happiest month and a half of my life.
And unfortunately, we bring you back in for a doozy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those aren't tears of joy. Those are tears of sadness.
Yeah, but we're glad to have you back, Kyle.
Thank you.
It's going to be a lovely episode where we talk about. Well, okay. So
Yes.
for the past week and a half, Connor had been basically like spouting at me and Kyle over and over that we have to watch this movie Capone.
Every day.
And I'm like, what is Capone? And he would say, oh, it's Capone. You got to watch Capone. And eventually we came to realize Capone was the new direct-to-on-demand Josh Trank film. And that's definitely actually more interesting than not at all. So we we opted to actually watch this movie Capone. And surprisingly, there's actually been a decent amount of people talking about this. I've been seeing it a lot on Twitter these days, people talking about Capone.
Well, part of it is that there's nothing out. Nothing comes out anymore.
Yeah, that's the real key to all of this. There's no movies to watch, no new releases, and just like that, we get a new Josh Trank film available to rent on Amazon or on demand or whatever you use. So, man, like with an opportunity like that, how could we pass it up?
Yeah, and
Exactly.
Kyle MacLachlan's in it. Like, I had to show solidarity to my guy Kyle MacLachlan. He put it on his Instagram that he's in the movie, and boy is he in it. And
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, I gotta see Capone. And then as soon as I saw Josh Trank wrote, directed, and edited this all himself, I mean,
And he's in it too, actually.
And he's in it, yeah, he's
like a brief cameo appearance.
He's in it a couple times actually, but it's yeah, I mean, Capone, guys.
Capone. Capone. Come on, guys. Capone.
Listen, before we talk about Capone, I think the elephant in the room is that we're making a big deal about this Josh Trank fella. And I wonder if the people listening to this show right now know who Josh Trank is or even remember who Josh Trank is.
Probably
because
not.
for a while, Josh Trank was Hollywood's golden boy. If you remember,
it was a flash of. It was a quick flash, but yes.
Yeah, right. If you guys remember, it's sometime around like I guess this was the around when the Disney bought Star Wars. There was a lot of like young directors who had made just like one or two like independent like small movies were getting scooped up by like Disney and these big corporations to direct their like new tentpole blockbuster movies, right? So you had guys like Colin Trevorrow directing the Jurassic Park movie. You had guys like James Gunn moving on to Guardians of the Galaxy. You had Rian Johnson moving on to Star Wars. And you had Josh Trank moving on to Fantastic Four. So he was one of this generation of young filmmakers who had made maybe just like one like indie movie or like a couple of things, and then suddenly the studios decide, let's take this guy, put him in charge of this big movie, because he's just a indie director with no clout. We tell him exactly what to do. We get to make our garbage blockbuster tentpole movie, and we'll rope in like the film nerds by making them think that they just got a movie from an up and coming director when really they just got a movie by the producers. Right? It's a genius strategy. It's a genius strategy.
But
I
Josh
remember
Trank wasn't playing by those rules.
Well, I actually remember, Connor. If you remember that talk we went to with Danny Elfman, composer Danny Elfman.
I do.
He actually like said this almost like straight up, where it's like, yeah, the reason that these studios hire young directors is because they can boss them around.
Right. Yeah.
Which
it's
was
actually
really
hilarious.
interesting. So that's not just speculation. That's almost definitely why the producers sort of went in that direction. But here's the thing. Unlike Rian Johnson and James Gunn and Colin Trevorrow, things didn't go too well when Josh Trank made the transition, right?
No.
Josh Trank he made a movie called Chronicle, which was directed by him and written by the Max Landis, if you remember that guy.
Yeah, son of John Landis, who is now canceled.
As he should be.
Yeah, and he should be very, very well deserving of that canceling.
So he made this movie called Chronicle, right? And it was, a modest sort of success, I guess.
It was like a found footage kind of thing. They made
like a superhero type.
Yeah,
of
they
thing.
made it like on a budget kind of thing, and it was superhero aspects. And
that was the Apex Predator, right?
Yes, the Apex Predator movie with Dane DeHaan in the Apex role.
And you wanted something too. That was one of the. I think that movie kind of like elevated Michael B. Jordan.
That was like one of the early Michael B. Jordan
and then Michael
movies.
B. Jordan really kind of took off after that.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. I completely forgot.
And then there was
about
the
that.
other guy who no one remembers in that movie.
I don't remember who that was.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a great guy though.
Yeah.
So Chronicle comes out and Josh Trank gets scooped up to make Fantastic Four, right? And like I said, unlike these other guys that ended up being fairly successful and are still working with these big companies, Josh Trank, he didn't make many friends while working on Fantastic Four. At least that's the impression that we get. There was a lot of trouble on the set of Fantastic Four, at least if you're to believe the reports. If I remember correctly, there were reports coming out that like Josh Trank was behaving unprofessionally, and like his dogs ruined the house he was renting for the filmmaking production, and there were like some of the producers had said he just wasn't up to the task of doing this big budget film. And like I believe like the day before the movie came out, like Josh Trank tweeted something like, "You guys will never get to see the movie that I wanted to make. It's such a shame." And then Fantastic Four comes out, which is of course the Fantastic Four with Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan.
Not the good one.
Not the original Fantastic Four, the rebooted Fantastic Four. Yeah. And oh my God, tremendous disaster. Probably the biggest superhero film disaster of the past like decade or so.
Yeah, like total rewrites. Kate Mara's in it too, and then she changed her hair for a different movie. Then they put her in a wig. There's it just a calamity of errors.
Yes. So the story that came out was that Josh Trank just wasn't able to move on and direct a big movie like this, right? And it was the funny thing is like everybody was on the Josh Trank train. Like he was going to direct a Star Wars movie, if you guys remember that, right?
Oh yeah.
And then as soon as all this stuff came out about Fantastic Four, they dropped him from Star Wars. So Fantastic Four, like the impression was that it ruined his career, that he was just done, and that there was no coming back.
And let's remember that was years ago now.
It was a long time ago at this point.
And he hasn't done anything since. This is the next thing since that, which is
and the interesting thing with Josh Trank is that there's kind of like two competing stories about what happened with Fantastic Four. The first is that Josh Trank just wasn't ready to direct a big budget movie, and he was unprofessional, and he needed to he did a bad job. And the second interpretation is actually the same as the first, but Josh Trank comes out looking a lot better, because you got to think about it. Like, what does it mean to not be ready to direct a big budget movie? To me, my interpretation is that Josh Trank didn't want to compromise his vision for the studio heads and what they wanted to do with Fantastic Four. And unlike these other filmmakers who will take the studio notes and then bow to the master, Josh Trank said, I'm not happy about this.
Oh yeah.
This is not what you hired me for. You hired me to make the movie I wanted to make, and I'm going to try to make that movie. So yeah, you could say Josh Trank was behaving unprofessionally, but it was for artistically pure reasons. Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, like that's speculation. We have no idea what really went down with Fantastic Four. I mean, Josh Trank actually recently like did a review of the Fantastic Four movie where he was just like, there's two competing movies in here, you know, and one of them is really good and one of them not so much. And obviously the one that's really good is the one that he was trying to make.
Oh, you don't say.
And the one that was bad is the one that the studio kind of imposed upon his vision. So it's an interesting case of a filmmaker that just wasn't ready to move on to becoming a rent-a-director for a studio. And you know what?
Just a kid.
That's a good thing. Josh Trank, we got your back. We're fans of your you know, I guess like protest against your own movie. I don't know exactly.
Hashtag we stand with Trank.
Hashtag we stand with Trank. And we still stand with Trank to this day, because here we are on our movie podcast radio show talking about Josh Trank's return from movie jail.
He's back.
The new film,
Yes.
Capone. So, with that intro out of the way, Connor, can you please give us a synopsis of the film Capone?
Yeah, sure thing. Capone. The 47-year-old Al Capone, after 10 years in prison, starts suffering from dementia and comes to be haunted by his violent past. It was written and directed and edited by Hollywood's golden boy, Josh Trank. That's, of course, you know, Joey wrote this. And stars Tom Hardy in the lead role as Al Capone, and Kyle MacLachlan's also in it as his doctor.
In a tremendously huge role.
Man, those 5 lines or something.
I'll tell you, the way that he was posting it on his Instagram, I really hoped that he'd be in it for a lot more than that. But yeah, so Kyle,
Yeah.
I made us watch Capone.
Yes, you did.
What did you think of Capone?
Well, let me just say this. We might stand with Trank, but it doesn't mean I have to like his movies. Because I didn't like Capone at all. I'm sorry, Trank. You know, I know you tried your best, but
I think we should say that it came out today, and we have not, we have recorded this right after watching it, of course.
Yeah.
So you didn't like Capone, okay.
No, not really. I mean, I didn't hate it. Like, I didn't think it was an awful movie, but I don't know. I wonder what Trank saw in that last year of Capone's life and said, this would make a great movie. Because really, it was just an old man, like, pooping and, you know, grunting for a year of his life, and that's about it. But,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, he has money hidden somewhere, but they don't really go anywhere with that. It's just something to talk about. I don't know. This movie, it didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me. And there were some parts I thought were laughably stupid.
So you can't talk about a movie starring Tom Hardy without talking about the Tom Hardy performance.
Of course.
Right.
Yes.
I think Tom Hardy is one of those actors that no matter what, if you see a movie with him playing, especially the lead role,
Yeah.
you see a movie with him playing the lead role, you're gonna get something. You're gonna get something, right? And
Absolutely.
Something.
And good God, is this a memorable performance?
Yeah.
I kind of
you could say that.
Guys, I gotta tell, I love Tom Hardy. I think
Yeah,
that he
Tom
goes
Hardy's
for
good.
everything. You know, he takes these different roles, he plays different characters all the time, and man, he tries his hardest to do an impression of Al Capone in this. The Al Capone voice. What do you think of the Al Capone voice?
Well, a lot of people always make fun of Tom Hardy because they can't understand him when he like talks in movies, because he does like weird accents and weird voices.
Yeah.
And like yeah, that's kind of what you're getting here. It's like as soon as he opens his mouth, it's like this guy Tom Hardy is on another planet from every other actor in this movie. What he is doing does not relate even remotely to what any of the other actors are doing.
Not at all.
The other actors are, you know, doing your standard movie acting. You
They're
know?
just there.
And then Tom Hardy is, playing to the cheap seats, like, 800 miles away. He's making sure that his performance is not missed for a second.
See,
And,
I think
that's great.
Tom Hardy understood the movie, like he got it. Like these
Did
other people,
he understand it? Did anybody understand it? Did Josh Trank understand it? Like I imagine that this movie for Josh Trank was like a chance to do something completely different from Fantastic Four, where he was like, instead of working on studio trash, I'm gonna do something that I don't even understand.
Mm-hmm. He wrote it, so
yeah. My point is, he's trying to make something that's like interesting or weird, that has it's almost like completely uncommercial and has nothing to do with the kinds of movies he made before. Because even Chronicle was like a pretty, like, it's the kind of movie that would play well to mass audiences, I think.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part. And I think with this, he was trying to go in the complete opposite direction. He wanted to make something that was weird and very inaccessible and almost incomprehensible in terms of like trying to figure out what he's going for, unless he's just going for like a mood thing, because you do get a sense for like a general like prevailing sense of like the character reflecting on his past and his evil deeds, right? And there's this like tragic sense to it, not unlike the last like half hour of The Irishman, but extended to like a whole movie. And and obviously not at the same level, of course.
I'm very glad that you added that little tidbit at the end, because oh man, you said you brought The Irishman up.
I'm just saying, like the like tonally, like what the purpose of the story is. Like that's there, that stuff is there, but that's kind of like all there is. Other than like what Kyle mentioned, where there's this hint of him constantly bringing up that he thinks he hid money somewhere, but he doesn't know where. Right?
But here's what: is that a story?
I don't know. I don't
not really.
And I don't know if
right?
that matters. Like I'm okay with the filmmaker deciding to make just like a weird mood piece, but at the same time, like this is a biopic, guys. Like that's what this is. This is a movie about a guy. And we say this on every single episode of the show we do. It's about a biopic, which is that we're never going to watch another one again.
I think it's a little
we did it for Josh Trank.
We did it for Josh Trank. I think this is a little more interesting than your typical biopic because of Tom Hardy and because of the weirdness. I think it is.
No, I agree. It's not like Chuck. It's I gotta stop bringing up Chuck. There's not a single person listening to this that even knows what that is.
It's a Chuck
everyone
Wagner
knows about
story.
Chuck, Joey. Come on.
Okay. It's a biopic. It's not that good. Point is, this one, I think there's some interesting stuff in it. There's some like kind of fun dream sequences. Yeah. Where Al Capone is like in like a fever dream remembering his old life, and
it's kind of just like one long sequence though.
Yeah, there's one particularly long sequence, but there's a couple of parts where you're getting like an unreliable narrator type thing where you're not entirely sure what's real and what isn't until there's like a clear divide.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff is interesting, but it's mostly a movie that's kind of coasting on one idea for the entire time. It doesn't really develop. It doesn't like really feel like it goes in any particular direction. It's just kind of an hour and 40 minutes of reflecting on the guy reflecting on his life with what little mental facilities he has left, basically. And that can be interesting. There's elements of it that are, but it could also be a little tedious at times, because it's even though there's some escalation in terms of like how violent things get. In terms of the story itself, it doesn't really like build or go anywhere, which might not be a terrible thing for you, but I do think that it definitely doesn't really feel like it it feels like it coasts on one idea for the whole time.
Yeah, I think there is a message there behind it, sort of, where like if you live your life with so much like lying and with so much deceit and crime that you're gonna be riled, the guilt is just gonna overwhelm, because there's a whole aspect of the FBI trying to get information out of him to find out if there is actually any actually money that Al Capone has hidden somewhere. So
I was really hoping that like the money element was something that I was like, like the dumber part of my brain was like, man, I want them to find the money.
Yeah.
I want this to be like a heist movie where like they what I want to happen is like one of these guys to get out of Capone where the money is, and then they just go on like a rampage trying to find it, right? And we just like leave Capone behind, and it just becomes a movie about these schmucks from the FBI and other guys finding where he buried his money.
It kind of felt for a little bit like near the end that they were going down that route.
It kind of
where like they followed this FBI guy to like New York, and he's talking to these higher ups, and then nothing happens with it.
Yeah, that was interesting. It was interesting that we got a behind the scenes of the FBI's investigation there.
Yeah.
Like, why did we need to find that, like, follow that guy in his, pursuit of Capone's money?
Yeah.
Because, because it's exactly what I said. It's they had to, drill into the audience the whole idea of the guilt thing, like, because that's what that scene was, so that he could say that, and then, to make sure it's clear. I that's what I think it was for.
Well, so it's very obvious that, like...
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, do you need that? I don't know. I don't think so. But what else do you do?
I don't know. Like, I'm not going to tell Josh Trank how to make his movie.
Yeah, I would never do that either.
I'm not going to say that he made any wrong choices or any right choices.
I won't say that either, but I will say there were probably about 12 scenes that weren't necessary in this movie. But I won't tell Josh Trank how to do his job. I just don't think you need to show, Matt Dillon, having sex with that lady if he's imaginary. But, it's just...
That was so strange to me in hindsight. I was thinking that the whole time, Kyle. I was like, wait. What? Because
that scene makes no sense.
That scene probably happened in, like, 1925.
But then why do you... Okay, whatever.
But he said he was going to Florida. Like, I don't...
Yeah, he said he was going to Florida.
You'll understand what we're talking about if you decide to watch Capone, everybody.
Oh, yeah, sorry for that spoiler, by the way.
It's not a spoiler. It will be a spoiler, I guess, but...
Bleep it out.
We're not bleeping anything out of this episode. Look, all I'm saying is... I don't really know what I'm saying. I think Capone is not a terrible thing to watch.
No.
Like, it's interesting. It after the credits roll, you might sit there going like, okay. Yeah, that's there's something there was something to that.
I think visually it looks really good too.
Yeah, there's definitely some good moments.
I think the shot composition is nice. I think it looks good. The sets are nice. Al Capone's house is great.
It's
a very nice house.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I'd live there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I would though. It's just a little bit too much for me.
Yeah, it is a little much, I guess. There's a lot of rooms and statues and stuff. Kind of creepy.
Well, I mean, there was for a while, and then they get sold off. So,
yeah. Oh, that's spoilers. But...
Kyle, spoilers for Capone. Yeah, I gotta say, it's good to have Trank back. But the thing that I thought was interesting too is they made it clear in like that opening title crawl that he did edit the film also. Which I thought was like
interesting. Yeah.
I thought that was just like an extra like, I had final cut. This is my movie. I wrote it. I directed it. Like, this is me. This is completely opposite from Fantastic Four, or whatever that debacle was.
Oh, interesting. So I just looked something up because I remembered the name. So the cinematographer of this movie is Peter Deming, who you may not know.
That sounds familiar.
He's one of David Lynch's regular cinematographers.
Oh,
I can't say that I didn't see some kind of Lynchian kind of things that he was trying to do here.
Yeah,
I kind of felt it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, like when you're doing these kinds of like sequences of, strangeness.
Yeah. And then he got Kyle MacLachlan to be in it also.
He did. So clearly, he's a David Lynch fan. You don't get
Yes.
Kyle MacLachlan to be in your thing.
I actually think that
you're a David
I
Lynch
think
fan.
Josh Trank actually has some pretty good taste. If that sounds strange, I actually do. I think that he's got got something there. It's
He's got some stuff.
He does. I think he does. I haven't liked anything he's ever done, but I like him, and I'm waiting for that day that he makes a movie that I like.
I'm all about the Josh Trank mindset. The
Oh, me
mindset
too.
of like, you hired me to make a studio movie, and you know what? I ain't listening to the man. And it may have resulted in a disaster, and Josh Trank being put in movie jail for a couple of years.
Actually, it was like
many
5.
years.
Was it 5 years?
It was a long time. Like that, we thought his career was over. I'd say, but he stuck to his principles, and he's back. And that's really all that matters. Josh Trank is back, and he's here to upend the movie industry from inside. He's gonna take these studios down one by one. I don't know. I mean, Capone's okay. I think his return is about as acceptable as you ever could have imagined. And you know what? I read like Josh Trank apparently is just like drinking in all the criticism. He loves the good reviews and the bad reviews. He's just happy to be back. And you know what? I'm happy he's back too.
We're all happy he's back.
Back on the Trank train.
This is great. This is to be living in a world where Josh Trank is making movies again. That's like this is it almost gives you hope for the film industry. I'm just gonna say it. Well, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of Lopes on Movies. We will be back next week with something. Capone was kind of nice that we actually got to see a new movie that came out. I wonder if we're gonna have that opportunity again anytime soon. But it only takes a filmmaker like Josh Trank to really get us to watch like a video on demand movie like that. So it might be a while, guys. But we got plenty of things in the vault to dig up and review for your entertainment. So everybody, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.